to the Royals to this point this season. His speed really puts the defense, it just speeds them up. And when you speed them up, they make mistakes. And when you saw last night, he used his speed to tag on a short fly ball and scored a winning run for the Royals.
After the game, Ned Yost was not only talking about Dyson's aggressive approach, but the team's aggressive approach.
Well, we've been, striving from day one of spring training to be aggressive on the bases, and being aggressive on the bases isn't always just stealing bases. It's knowing how and when to take the extra base. And we practice that every day in spring training. We run the bases before every series at home, and just practice our turns so that we can be sharp, tight turns to the bag and give us more opportunity to take those extra bases.
Well, Ryan, it wasn't just Roy Dyson's speed that got the Royals excited last night. It was also Brian Painter here in the 7th, and also Wilson Betemit in the 8th, who turned potential singles into doubles.
And Betemit's double got that 2-run rally started in the bottom of the 8th inning. Now tonight, the Royals are going up against Brian Dunsing. The Twins are 4-0 in his games this year, and he's 4-0 in his career against the Royals. And Sean O'Sullivan will be making his 3rd start of the year for the Royals. Back to Kauffman Stadium right after this. Brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. When you play, students win. And by Southwest Airlines' new Rapid Rewards. Unlimited reward seats and no blackout dates. Here's the Minnesota Twins lineup tonight, presented by Southwest Airlines. They'll have Matt Tolbert at shortstop tonight. They get Jim Thome back. He had been out for a couple of days with an oblique strain, and Steve Holm will be behind the plate. They'll be facing Sean O'Sullivan, Frank, who's living the life of a number 5 starter, which means you're not in a regular rotation.
Well, he's not in a regular rotation, Ryan. He didn't have an opportunity to pitch on that last road trip, but he'll be going out tonight and trying to get game 2 of this series against the Minnesota Twins.
He struck out 6 in his last start, but normally a contact pitcher, so he needs good defense tonight. And here's the Royals defense, brought to you by Ram Trucks. It'll be Mike Aviles at third base tonight, Billy Butler at first, and Matt Trainer behind the plate. And once again, a key for the Royals in a win last night was very good defense, with Alex Gordon out in left field and Chris Getz at second base. They're both in there tonight, and the first pitch is next.
Kansas City Royals and the Minnesota.
And we are ready to go as the 6:10 game starts at 6:09. Royals can't wait to get this game started after last night's exciting victory over the Minnesota Twins. 1 ball and 1 strike on Delman Young, or Denard Span. 9-game hitting streak for Denard Span after getting a hit, a walk, and batting at .307. Royals baseball brought to you tonight in high definition by Time Warner Cable. Sean O'Sullivan making his first start since a week ago Thursday, when the Royals beat the Cleveland Indians. It was a no decision for O'Sullivan, giving up 2 runs in 6 innings. And as we talked about a few moments ago, Frank, that is life as the 5th starter in the first month of the season with all the off days.
You know, it might not be a bad thing for him because he does stay strong, and when he's out there, he doesn't worry about throwing too many pitches as a regular 4-man starter would. But right now, he's fell in right in the right spot at the right time for the Royals.
A leadoff walk. Last year, Sean O'Sullivan faced Minnesota twice. His only 2 career outings against the Twins. He won 1 and he lost 1, but the number that really stands out is 11 walks in 10 2/3 innings. So he gave Minnesota quite a few free base runners. Ron Gardenhire's team has lost 4 in a row. They are 7 games below 500. The last time Minnesota at any point in the season was 7 games below was 2006.
Well, we talked to him before the game, Ryan, and he talked a lot about fundamentals. He said when teams go in a slump and they don't win games, it's not the losses that concern him, it's the lack of fundamentals.
Matt Tolbert lays down a pretty good bunt, and the throw eats up Billy Butler, and the Twins will have runners at first and third with nobody out.
On this bunt play right here, Trainer comes out, and this throw's got to stay on the inside part of the bag. Trainer throws this ball well into the baseline, and lucky it might have hit Tolbert on the leg, and Billy didn't have much of an opportunity to catch this throw.
It is a bunt single for Tolbert. However, as the throw got away from Billy Butler, Denard Span goes to third on an error by Trainer. I also wonder too, because of that angle, and we know that this time of night there is a lot of sun that comes through the stadium on the third base side, and Billy was receiving that throw from Trainer in a little strip of sunlight, which he's standing in right now.
Well, Ryan, the danger of that play is that when the ball starts to run into the runner, the first baseman's got to be careful of how far he wants to stick his arm across that white line and to catch the ball. That you see a lot of injuries occur when that happens. So when the catcher comes out inside like that, then you want to keep the throw to the inside part of the bag.
1 ball, 1 strike on Jason Kubel. He lost a 10-game hitting streak on Thursday night in the second game of a doubleheader with Tampa Bay, and then came back last night with 2 hits, a double, and a run scored. He's hitting .341. 2-1. So tied for third in the American League with a .341 average with Brennan Bosch of the Tigers, and trying to pick up some of the slack, moving up in the batting order with Joe Mauer out. This would normally be Mauer's spot in the lineup, and now he's ahead, 3 balls, 1 strike.
Kubel's definitely a proven run producer, and even with Mauer out, having Kubel and Marneau and Tomey and Kadire in that same lineup, those are all proven major league hitters who've all driven in a lot of runs in their career.
Bases loaded, nobody out. So Bob McClure out to talk to Sean O'Sullivan, and we report another beautiful night in Kansas City. 71 degrees. Game started at 7:09. Time and temp brought to you by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCI. And we welcome in Joel Goldberg, who's out with all of his friends in the Pepsi party porch.
It's reserved for a private party. They'll come later.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I do, or everybody's scared of me. I don't know. I do have a couple of hats here. This is the hat that the Royals wear during batting practice. This is the hat that they wear in games. Players typically like the game hats better nowadays because they've got the flat bill. These batting practice hats actually have the bent brim, and players don't like that. So our buddy Jeff Rancourt took one and he cut off the brim. He did it not to his own but to Mitch Myers, and now looks like this. More a little bit like a yarmulke, and this Goldberg would tell you it's not quite right. Mitch, by the way, no longer has a batting practice hat, so his game hat is very sweaty from batting practice. That'll be the last time I wear this. Back to you.
Well, I would like to see the guy standing in front of you, Joel, who's responsible for that gag, to wear a hat with no bill, because I think he's got the sun right in his face.
Well, the sun is in my face. I can't see, and that's why he cut off Mitch Myers, not his own. Can't beat fun at the old ballpark.
You really
right,
can't, Joel. 2 strikes on Justin Morneau. 1 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts last night. Getz will have an out at first base. Now the Royals will try for a double play, getting Kubel in a rundown and keeping an eye on Tolbert. A run scores. The Royals get 2 outs. well. 8-time Gold Glover. I'm guessing you're happy with the way Getz played that.
Well, he played it very well. He recognized that he was in front of the runner, did an outstanding job stopping the runner, getting going back to first, and then everything took over after that. Billy got a nice throw from Getz, took a look home, then he gave Escobar a nice throw, right back to Getz again, and made the tag. Now, the good thing about that rundown is that everybody had the ball, always kept an eye on third base before they gave the ball up, and that was good. And they wasn't running out of control where they couldn't make a change of direction and make a throw to the plate. So everything was under control, everything done right on that play.
Now, normally, when a hitter grounds into a double play, you do not get an RBI. However, that was not a continuation double play. So the official score gives Justin Morneau an RBI. So Tolbert at third, 2 down. 1 ball and 1 strike on Michael Kadire. Over the outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Associate producer Al Broughton has informed us that that is just the second first inning run Minnesota has scored all year.
That's unbelievable.
Wow. Blocked by Tolbert, or by Trainer, keeping Tolbert at third base. And he made a move for the plate as soon as he recognized that ball was in the dirt.
Well, we saw in the pregame show, Lee Judge gives points for blocks like this with a man on third base because he feels like that saved the team a run. And I think when you have a catcher with a man on third that's not afraid to call for the pitch that's going to be in the dirt, and the pitcher that's not going to be afraid to throw it, then I think that's a plus for the offense.
Aviles backhands, throws low, and it gets by Butler. Another run scores, and Kadire to second base. It is an error on Aviles, and the second error for the Royals in the inning.
But Mike does a good job when he goes there. Now he sets his feet. Then you can just see him just kind of let up on the throw. You got to finish that throw all the way through. Then Billy has a tough time because now this is almost like an in-between hop, and he's trying to make it longer, but he can't go into the baseline and get in front of the runner. So you can see Mike after this throw. It's one of those ones you know going to go in the dirt, and you hope your first baseman can help you out.
So no RBI for Kadire. He's at second base, and Jim Thome appears in the series for the first time. Out for the doubleheader for the Twins on Thursday and last night with a sore rib cage muscle. He has 47 career home runs against the Royals. One ball, 1 strike.
Well, it seems like when guys are hurt, you read about them being hurt, and all of a sudden they come to play you, and they have these great numbers, and all of a sudden they get well in a hurry. And his lifetime 306 against the Royals kind of indicates he's getting some more hits against the Royals also.
Those 591 career home runs puts him 29th on the all-time list. When the Royals were in Minnesota in the middle of this month, he had just homered the day before, or 2 days before, against the Oakland A's, the straightaway center field. And that was career home run number 590. He has faced Sean O'Sullivan 4 times, 3 hits, 2 of them home runs, 1 a very impressive home run. 3 balls, 2 strikes. And then Orlando Hudson's reaction, which about summed it up, hitting the top of the flagpole in right field.
Wow.
Getz has to run in from right field and throws out Thome. Royals commit 2 errors, and the Twins score 2. Well done. Here's the Royals batting order tonight, presented by Southwest Airlines. Mike Aviles will lead off with left-hander Brian Dunsing on the mound, so Keila Kaihue is not in there. Billy Butler will play at first, and Chris Getz will bat ninth. Minnesota Twins have won 9 games this year. 4 of those have been with Dunsing on the mound. He is 2-0, but Minnesota has won all 4 of his starts, and he has never lost to the Royals. Takes the mound with a 2-0 lead. They'll get Mike Aviles, Melky Cabrera, and Alex Gordon, his former teammate at Nebraska. (2-0). Aviles hit with one of the 2 errors and the 2-run first inning. Did not play last night. Left center field, long run for Span, and he runs it down. He almost ran by it and made what looked like a very difficult basket catch up against his belt buckle.
Well, I was expecting to reach his glove out to make this catch, but like you said, he got the ball sent into the breadbasket there and was able to make the catch. But you see how balanced he was after he made the catch. So there it is, comes right back into him right there.
It is a beautiful sky tonight for everybody but the center fielder and the right fielder. And for the next inning or so, they're going to be dealing with the sun right in their eyes. And Span, even though that ball was hit to left center field, as he was running from center, that has his eyes looking into the sun. It is going to be even worse for Jeff Francoeur of the Royals and Jason Kubel, the Twins, in right field. And Kubel coming up in right here. Can't do anything with that. Melky around first. Kubel's throw is in time. So in the first inning so far, the difference has been poor defense on the Royals side and very good defense on the Twins side.
Well, I agree with you, Ryan. Kubel comes up and he recognizes right away he's got to get rid of this. I mean, this is a great throw and a great tag by Tolbert. The only thing you'd rather have him on the outfield side receiving that throw. It would have been a lot easier to play for him.
Twins defense tonight presented by Ram Trucks. Matt Tolbert takes over at shortstop in place of AT KCA. Steve Holm will be behind the plate. So Kubo with his 3rd outfield assist, and now 2 outs and nobody on. Let's go back out to right field and check in with Joel.
You know, I'm not too far from Jason Kubel, and I've got to assume that he didn't see that ball come down very well. That was the tough part for him. Making the throw was the easy part.
Now Span into deep right center field, and he runs it down. So the Twins put on an outfield clinic in the bottom of the 1st. Tonight to help the Royals win Game 1. And with that, here's tonight's video fan question of the night.
My name's Kyle from Overland Park. I got a question for the guys in the booth. Who's faster, Dyson or Wilson? Dyson.
Let's see. I think that question was directed towards me. So let's see. What do you think? Willie Wilson was always thought of as the fastest Royal, but you wanted to add another guy to the mix.
Well, I think Willie was the fastest guy I've seen play. I mean, I'm sure that Kyle never saw Willie play, so he really don't. He can't grasp the speed of Willie Wilson at 6'2", at 6'3". But another guy, Bo Jackson, was also a very fast runner. Both guys, I believe, world-class speed. So I'm gonna stay with Willie right now.
Valencia out in a pop-up to second base after driving in 2 runs last night.
A good running fastball in on his hands, and he tried to pull his hands in, but that's up to 93. That's pretty strong for John O'Sullivan. So good running fastball in on his hands.
O'Sullivan walked 2 in the first inning. The Royals committed 2 errors. They did turn a double play, and by the way, the official score changed his ruling on the Morneau ground ball double play and took the RBI away from him. So a double play is a double play. 1 run scored on that play. The second one on Michael Kadire, reaching on a throwing error by Mike Aviles. Just foul off at third base. 2 balls and 1 strike on Steve Holm. And then Minnesota on the flip side, in the bottom of the first inning, got 2 excellent plays from Denard Span, running into left center field on a drive from Mike Aviles, into right center field on a drive from Alex Gordon, and in between, Jason Kubel, after Melky Cabrera's single, threw him out at second, trying to stretch it into a double.
Well, Kubel's been impressive in right field. He also had an assist at home plate in Game 1. So, I mean, they really got to be careful with him. And they got to know for sure, because he's not shown that he's got a strong arm, but he's been accurate with his throws.
That's O'Sullivan's 3rd walk. So 1 on 1 out, and now Rene Tosoni, 1 for 3 with a walk last night, made his major league debut on Thursday in Game 1 of a doubleheader with Tampa Bay, and got his first big league hit, got his first 2 big league hits in that game. In that Tampa Bay series, Minnesota put Delman Young on the disabled list. He's out on a fly ball to left field. Holm back to first, and there are 2 outs. And now back to Denard Span, who is running all over the outfield as the Royals batted in the bottom of the first.
Well, if his legs weren't loose in the first inning, going at the start of the first inning, they were loose at the end of the first inning.
A strike to Span. You know, Minnesota's had a very interesting and productive mentoring program over the past, 12, 13 years in center field. Kirby Puckett mentoring Torrey Hunter. Torrey Hunter mentoring Denard Span. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, the Royals had something similar with Amos Otis in center field and Willie Wilson following right behind him, and then you just go right on down the line to Carlos Beltran, Johnny Damon, or Johnny Damon to Carlos Beltran. And so it's been pretty good center fielders here over the years.
I remember when Denard Span a few years ago didn't make the team out of spring training. It was the same year that Torrey Hunter signed as a free agent with the Angels. Carlos Gomez had been traded for from the Mets, and the Twins went with Gomez instead of Span, and Denard Span called Torrey Hunter, as the story goes, and was very frustrated, and Torrey Hunter said, hang in there, the Twins know what they're doing, your time will come. And it wasn't long after that Denard Span was in the big leagues, and he has had a much more productive major league career than Carlos Gomez.
Well, it definitely has, and I think that when you look at the track record of the Twins and developing players and knowing when the right time to plug their players in, they've done it as well as anyone.
Line to left field. Alex is right there. The Royals defended Span perfectly. 2-0 Twins.
It's 2-0 at Kauffman Stadium as Brian Dunsing getting ready to face Billy Butler. Had a chance to talk to Billy about Dunsing, as Dunsing has always done so well against the Royals, 4-0 in his career. I said, Billy, why is this guy so tough? And he said all the Twins pitchers are tough. It's not just Brian Dunsing. They all have great command. They all pitch very well. It's not like they're dominating, but they're all very similar out there. And the key to facing him, just like all of the pitchers, is you know they're going to go away. Try to work the opposite side of the field. Be patient and be disciplined, because all those Twins pitchers are very similar, guys.
All right, Joel, and Billy is 0 for 9 in his career against Dunsing. And he required some very good defense in the outfield to get through the bottom of the first inning, facing only 3. 0-2 against Billy Butler. Billy 0 for 3 with a walk last night. And with that walk, continues to maintain an impressive on-base percentage. 3rd in the league behind Miguel Cabrera and Jose Bautista, who is at .542. And a 3-pitch strikeout. 1 away in the 2nd inning. So with it being April the 30th, our Sprint You Call It question is, who do you think is the Royals player of the month? Melky Cabrera, Alex Gordon, Jeff Francoeur, or Alcides Escobar? Text 432-432, enter keyword Royals, followed by a space, A, B, C, or D. And Francoeur, with his 19 RBIs, takes strike 1. He lost his 17-game hitting streak last night, which was a career high. 0 for 3. He did reach when he was hit by a pitch by Scott Baker. 1-1.
That was an interesting list for Sprint, for the Sprint question, player of the month. I mean, you know, I think I'd have to go with Alex Gordon and what he's been able to do. But I would be interested to see how many runs that Alcides Escobar has saved the Royals for the month of April. I remember when Whitey signed Smith to a contract, you know, for his first $2 million contract. And then everybody said, well, why did you do that? I mean, you don't give a defensive guy $2 million.
Ozzie Smith?
Ozzie Smith.
Yeah.
And Whitey says, well, this guy saves me more runs than this guy drives in. So that's why I'm giving him $2 million. So that was unbelievable. First time defense took a priority.
Well, it's not fair because half the game is playing defense, but as you well know, there aren't enough guys in Cooperstown who are there because of their defense. There are plenty of guys there because of their offense and no defense, but doesn't work the other way around.
But I agree with you. But Dunsing's starting to get the ball down in this inning, Ryan. And when he's down, he's pretty tough. You know, he's on the outside corner, inside corner, then down the lower outside corner again for the strikeout. But there was a saying that scouts used to use all the time for guys who just played defense. He said you can shake a glove out of a tree anywhere, but that's not true anymore.
Wilson Betemit got that rally started in the bottom of the 8th inning last night with a double. He is hitting .343 overall, and he has very good numbers against Dunsing. So this was a no-brainer for Ned Yost. Betemit 5 out of 10 with a home run against the Minnesota lefty. Just outside, 2-1. Two and two. I remember when the Royals started playing 6-10 games on Saturdays, and hitters would complain early on that the bright light against the backdrop in center field was very difficult. The pitcher is in the shadows, but the backdrop is in the bright sunlight, and we've seen some awkward swings. Final game of the series is tomorrow. It's at 1:10. It's also Faith and Family Day. The event is hosted by KCTV5's chief meteorologist Katie Horner and will include a speech by Jim Morris, the inspiration for the popular Disney movie The Rookie, as well as speeches by Royals executives and players. Sounded like a broken bat, but Wilson Betemit will trade that for a base hit. He's hit in 5 straight games, and the Royals have a runner at first with 2 down.
You know, Brian Dunsing was having success against Betemit on the outer half, getting him a chase, but he tried to get inside, but he didn't quite get inside far enough, and Wilson was able to get inside this. Even though he broke his bat, hit it in a good part of the field.
Now Alcides Escobar, 1 for 3 with the game-winning RBI. Although I have to think for a moment he was dejected when he saw AT KCA run down that fly ball in shallow left field. Span back near the track to make the catch, and at the end of 2, Minnesota leads 2-0. Brought to you by AT, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network. By Panera Bread Catering. Order online at PaneraKansas.com. By Chevy. See your Kansas City area Chevy dealers. And by Steel. Are you ready for a steal? And if you are ready for a steal, we have a steal of a deal for you. Royals alumni fan batting practices coming up, and Fred White's here to talk about that.
Real bargain. It really is. A lot of fun. Frank has done them before. And I'm going to get you a fast half inning here.
That's what you know how it works, Fred. You know better than all of us.
It always works like that. Frank, I know, can't be at this one, but I remember the last one he was at. He walked out to second base, and it was like the Pied Piper. There was a parade following him out there. Everybody wanted to say, I stood out there with Frank at second base. I tell you, it's $300. You have to be 25 or older. We've got about 10 spots left. For May the 14th, starts at 8 in the morning. We'll be out there to noon. You get all the swings you're ever going to want. We got 10 alums to come out and throw to them. And when they're not swinging a bat, they can take ground balls. They can take fly balls. Get some instruction. Big John will be down in the cage.
Oh, yeah.
Giving them some instruction on how to hit the baseball. It's fun. It's just a lot of fun.
And if you've ever been around Big John Mayberry, I mean, some people would spend the money just to hang out with him for the day.
Hey, it's worth the price of admission just to be with him, I'll tell you.
You can imagine what those hitting lessons are going to sound like.
He's very encouraging, I know that. And you know, Frank will tell you, the first thing that people say when they walk out there on the field is, my gosh, this is big. Ballpark gets bigger, doesn't it?
Yeah, the whole ballpark is bigger, but they look at the infield and the throw from shortstop to third base to first base. I mean, they just amazed by how far that is.
They are. And I tell them when you get in the outfield, think about this. Willie Wilson, Al Cowens, and Amos Otis covered this thing on artificial turf.
That's awesome. I got a question for you, Fred. Who's the fastest, Dyson, Jackson, or Wilson?
Wilson.
That's what I said.
That's what Frank said.
First to third, first to home. Nobody could do it.
Home to home.
Yeah, home to home.
He was one of those guys who ran the inside the park home run. He wasn't out of gas when he hit home plate.
Yeah, no,
you had to catch him in the on-deck circle to slow him down.
If he needed an edge, and I don't know that he did, but if he did, it was the way he turned the bases. He just squared them off.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. Halfway to second base, it seemed like another gear kicked in, and he was just so much fun to watch.
Plus, he had that long stride.
Well, that's what Frank was bringing up after we got the question. Morneau hits it to right field. Sounded like it was down around the end of the bat, so Frank Poor there to make the catch. Morneau is 0 for 2, but Frank brought up because of the long strides and because he was a big man. I mean, Willie Wilson is a big guy that maybe he didn't look as fast as he was running, where Dyson, I mean, he's just a blur on the base paths.
Yeah, Willie not only was fast, he was big. Remember when he hit Thurman Munson at home plate here?
Oh, yeah.
He moved Thurman about 10 feet off the plate. He was a big, strong, he was a great football player. He had 200 Division I football offers. Was going to go to Maryland and play if he hadn't signed. And he'll be here for fans batting practice, by the way. So if anybody wants to race him.
Well, fantasy camp, he's still the fastest guy.
He's something, he really is. But May the 14th, he'll be here. Brian McRae, Dennis Leonard. A lot of guys will be out here. John Mayberry, who we said is worth the price of admission. And I told you I'd get you fast half inning. Here we go. Thanks, guys.
You want to stick around for the next 4 innings, Fred?
Thanks. Score some.
Good seeing you. This is Catherine Sarno, an inspiration to the staff and fellow residents of the Little Sisters of the Poor nursing home. She has served as resident council president for 5 years, as a member of the Red Hat Society, and attends Mass daily. One of her favorite hobbies is watching the Royals, and she's watching them tonight from the Buck O'Neill Legacy seat. One ball, one strike on Matt Trainer. Minnesota getting 2 in the top of the first inning. Royals committed 2 errors in the inning. Both teams with 2 hits. Melky Cabrera singled in the first, tried to stretch it into a double. Jason Kubel threw him out, and then Bedamit singled in the second. No appeal, 2 balls and 1 strike. Chris Getz on deck, and then Mike Aviles, who is leading off for the Royals tonight. Past Dunsing and into center field. Dunsing just nicked it with his glove.
Yeah, just right off the tip of it. Trainer does a good job just going back through the middle with this pitch away. And then you see it just goes right off the thumb and out in the center field. And you're like, Trainer, like, you know, he's probably not happy with his batting average, Ryan. And he gets a hit like that, that really helps. And he's got pride. You know, all guys want to hit, but he's been worth his weight in gold and in the way he's been able to block balls behind the plate.
Ed Yost was saying the other day that he has been better than advertised. The Royals knew they were getting a good defensive catcher, somebody who knows the American League, was with the Rangers all last year, but his ability to get the most out of the Twins or Royals pitchers when he's on the mound, blocking balls, throwing out runners, he's been better than the Royals had hoped for.
Right, he brought a toughness to the position too. I mean, blocking home plate, not afraid to get to, you know, take those hits from guys coming down from third base, and he's shown to be resilient.
Chris Getz was 1 for 5 last night. Drove in Brian Pena in the 7th inning, making it a 3-2 game. Minnesota in front, and the Royals scored 2 in the bottom of the 8th. 1 ball, 2 strikes. A reminder to look for the Miller Lite Taste Greatness moment later in tonight's game. Still 1-2. So with the lefty on the mound, and Brian Dunsing is tough on left-hand batters, Chris Getz bats 9th. He led off last night, but Getz has done well against Dunsing. He is 2 out of 4.
You know, a lot of managers don't really like to put the hit and run on with a left-handed pitcher, but I think sometimes, you know, it's really not that bad a thing to do, because you still have that runner moving before the ball is hit, and you still have a chance to get that guy advanced to second base.
Getz strikes out, and that's Dunsing's 3rd. And the reason why managers don't like to hit and run with a lefty is because
they know the guy at first is not going to get that great jump, and when they put a hit and run on in their minds, I think they're looking for a first and third situation. But against lefties, I think you can still do it, but you got to kind of cut it back a little bit and say, well, I just want to get this guy in scoring position.
A strike to Mike Aviles, who lost a base hit leading off the bottom of the first inning, driving it into left center field, and Denard Span running it down. Aviles has 15 hits, and 10 of the 15 have been for extra bases, and that would have been for extra bases if not for the play by Denard Span.
I think a lot of it is he always looks for the ball up, and when you look for the ball up, then you have a chance to drive it in the alley, and that's what he's been doing, up out over the plate, right center. Ball stays inside. That's the pitch he's been driving out of the ballpark in the left center field, but doesn't get a lot of balls down in the strike zone where he can hit a lot of ground ball.
Into center field. Trainer will stop at second base. So runners at first and second, 1 away.
And this is when Mike's swinging better, this is what he does, Ryan. Not stepping too bad in the bucket. Ball's out over the plate and just stays right with it up the middle. Stays back on his backside. Just a pretty swing right there.
And now Dunsing will get Melky Cabrera, who singled against him in the first inning and tried to stretch it into a double and was thrown out by Jason Kubel. One ball, no strikes.
And one thing Melky tried to do his first hit bat, he doesn't try to pull the ball. He wanted to hit the ball the other way and got jammed a little bit, but mission accomplished. And when he tries to pull the ball, that's when he gets in trouble.
Tolbert to Kadire. Low throw. It gets by Morneau and goes into the stands. It is a 2-1 game. So Cabrera gets an RBI. And the Royals get a run because of an error.
Well, it's a good feed right there, and just a low throw right here. And Morneau wasn't able to stop the ball. A good feed from Tolbert. You see Kadire, who doesn't have a lot of experience playing second base, came across his body, and this is a tough in-between hop for Morneau at first base.
So both teams now have an unearned run. One of the 2 runs Minnesota scored in the top of the first inning was unearned. And now, because of the error, Trainer comes to the plate. And Cabrera advances to second base. One strike to Alex Gordon, who flied out to deep center field first time up. And right now, 71% in our Sprint You Call It think that Alex Gordon should be the Royals Player of the Month.
I'll have to go right along with him on that one. But that's what Ron Gardenhire was talking about, Ryan, when he talked about fundamentals, and that's a fundamental play there. That's a double play that should have been turned and is not turned, and that's when your team just can't get going in the right direction.
And it wasn't a very difficult double play. I mean, the ground ball led Tolbert right to the bag. Kadire can play second base, but he doesn't play a lot of second base, mostly right field and first base in recent years, and every now and then at third base.
Well, at second base, the story is told on a double play. How well can you turn a double play, especially when the runner's all over you? That's something that he's not used to seeing on a regular basis. So sometimes your stride can be a little long. Your left foot can be ahead of your right foot, and it'll lock your hips up. That'll make you hook the ball back to the outfield side, or sometimes it'll make the ball run back down the line into the runner. So just being able to have that agility around the bag and that confidence to turn that double play, that's where the difference is made. So it's not the ground balls, it's not the feed to the shortstop, it's the third baseman, shortstop feeding you at second base, and you have to make the turn.
A couple of college teammates hooking up here. Dunsing, Alex Gordon, Jabba Chamberlain at one time are all playing for the University of Nebraska. Two balls, 2 strikes. Alex, of course, grew up in Lincoln. Dunsing is a Kansas native, born in Marysville, which is just on the southern edge of the Kansas-Nebraska border, 75 miles south of Lincoln. So born in Marysville, but he grew up in Omaha. On the ground, right side. This time Kadire makes a great play and throws out Alex Gordon. Royals get a run. It is 2-1 Twins. run game. In our Roadrunner Turbo speed pitch comparison, it is a good comparison. Brian Dunsing and Sean O'Sullivan have both topped out at 94. You can double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo. Jim Thome, Danny Valencia, and Steve Holm in the 4th inning. Thome grounded out to second in the 1st inning, more like a ground ball to right field with where Chris Getz is playing. Getz not as deep now as he was back in the 1st. He had to come running in from right to get the ground ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Final game of this series is tomorrow at 1:10. Coach Haber against Carl Pavano. Royals Live begins at 12:30. The Royals have an off day on Monday and then begin a 3-game series with Baltimore on Tuesday. 2-2 on Jim Thome. Just riding outside, and the count goes from 0-2 to 3-2.
Sean really wants to be careful with Jim Thome right here. And this is a pitch that's very unhittable because it's off the plate. But he's trying to make that pitch run away from him and get him to chase.
O'Sullivan has walked 3. He does not have a strikeout. One of the walks is turned into a run. Escobar playing perfectly behind second base, so the shift works to get Thome, and there's one away.
But they always say you have to pitch to your defense, and O'Sullivan did the same pitch. He threw it down, made it run away. Thome tried to pull it, and pulled it right up the middle to Escobar, sitting right behind second base.
And now Danny Valencia out on a pop up to second base in the 2nd inning, and a slider is in for strike 1. Valencia hit .459 against the Royals last year and had 2 hits, both doubles last night, and drove in 2. And O'Sullivan's ahead, no balls, 2 strikes. Valencia, another Twins hitter, off to a slow start, hitting at .222. Six of the 9 hitters in the lineup tonight are hitting .236 or lower. As a team, Minnesota is hitting .237. 2-2.
That's probably about 30 points off the pace right there. And then you look at Kubel is really the only guy that's really, from an average standpoint, doing a great job. You have Marneau, Kadire, Thome, Valencia. Those guys you expect to have higher batting averages at this point in the season.
Last 2 batters, O'Sullivan has gone from 0-2 to 3-2. And Joe Mauer, even though he played in 9 games, just to add to that statement, he was hitting .235 when he went on the disabled list. Inside, so that'll frustrate O'Sullivan. He had Valencia down 0-2, and now that is 4 walks in 3 1/3 innings. 1 on, 1 out. Coming up on Wednesday during the Orioles series, it's the next Inc. Student Night, where students can purchase a ticket for $7 with a valid high school or college ID. Plus, you can get a hot dog and a beverage for $7. On Wednesday, it's also Inc. Local Music Showcase with support from 96.5 The Buzz and pregame music from Queens Club. Gates will open at 5:30. Steve Holm walked with 1 out in the 2nd inning. Drew Butera was behind the plate last night. And like Drew Butera, Steve Holm, a player known more for his defense. He's hitting .133 as he steps in here. First got to the big leagues with the San Francisco Giants. Played parts of 2008 and 2009 with the Giants after spending 7 years in the minor leagues, and he grew up a Giants fan in Sacramento. Valencia has only 1 stolen base, and right now the team lead in stolen base for Minnesota is 2. AT KCA, Michael Kadire, and Denard Span. Last night the Royals threw out a Minnesota runner. It was technically a broken squeeze play, but it was the first time all year that a Twin has been caught stealing.
Well, they really haven't been running a lot. I talked to Denard Span before the game, and I asked him, I said, do you have the green light? And he doesn't have the green light. And sometimes when a runner, a base runner who likes to steal bases, as we take a look at last night at this broken squeeze play here, Brian Pena does a great job in running Valencia all the way back to third base. But Denard Span was telling me, Ryan, that when you're a base stealer, it's hard to go when someone gives you the sign to go. You know, it's better to have the green light so you can pick your spots, and then you get your best jump.
Here's Sean O'Sullivan's first strikeout.
Just breaking ball on the outside corner, goes down well. Nice slider from Sean O'Sullivan.
In his last start a week ago Thursday against the Indians, he tied a career high with 6 strikeouts. And now Rene Tosoni, and he takes down and in ball 1. He lined out to left field in the second inning. Gets on the right side, and that's the inning. One-run game, close game, Royals and the Twins. It was a one-run game last night. The Royals winning after being down going into the 8th inning, and that's nothing new for them this year. As we look at tonight's league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. That was the 5th time last night that the Royals have won after trailing going into the 8th inning in just their 26th game. Billy Butler into left center field and deep, and Billy has tied the game. is Billy Butler's first ever hit against Brian Dunsing. He struck out on 3 pitches in the second inning, and that made him 0 for 10 against Dunsing.
Well, you're right, Ryan. He chased a bad pitch off the plate, and the ball's up in the zone. He's been fouling them off a little bit lately, but he definitely jumps on top of this fastball and drives it into left center field.
Dunsing thought about grabbing it with his bare hand. He'll let Kadire play it. Francoeur is 0 for 2.
I mean, just take a look at this pitch right down Broadway right there. Billy knew right away he got all of this pitch. You can just see it, just good extension, good follow through, finishing high after the swing. There's no doubt about that one. He kissed that one very well.
And a heads up play by that young Royals fan out in left center field. So Billy with his 3rd home run, his first since April the 5th. How about that? One and one on Wilson Betemit. He's hit in 5 straight games after a 2-out single in the second inning. It's only the 3rd home run allowed by Dunsing this year, and that's in 30 1/3 innings. One and two. Royals are trying to beat Brian Dunsing for the first time. He pitched to a no decision back on April the 12th, but as far as wins and losses go, he is 4-0. In fact, he got his first big league win against the Royals back in 2009. And he goes up the ladder and strikes out Betemit, and Dunsing has 4 strikeouts. As part of our Fox Sports Supports charitable initiative, we are proud to wear these pins during our 2011 MLB on Fox Sports Kansas City season to support Stand Up to Cancer. For more information, please visit standup2cancer.org/Fox Sports. Oh, 0-1 on Alcides Escobar. Out on a fly ball to center field. First time up. 1-1. Dunsing's first major league win was here on August the 22nd, 2009. Missed with the curveball, 2 balls and 1 strike. Talking to soon-to-be Hall of Fame pitcher Bert Blyleven about Brian Dunsing and why he's done so well in a short major league career. His career record, he's 12 games over 500. And Bert said he is very good at changing speeds and especially taking speed off of pitches. And remember what we were talking about last night is Escobar walks. And I remember Bob McClure telling me that what is so hard for young pitchers once they get to the big leagues is that to get to the big leagues, they basically did everything by adding velocity or adding break to pitches. And then when they get here, they have to have the courage to not throw harder, to sometimes take something off of their fastball and their breaking pitches.
I think, Ryan, he's right there. I think a lot of times what pitchers don't understand is not how hard you throw. It's your ability to break the timing of the hitter. So you can do that by taking a few extra miles per hour off your fastball. Then they're out front a little bit. It takes the ball off the sweet spot to the end of the bat. And then if you can go with the changeup, it's even tougher for hitters to do because hitters can speed up, but they have a hard time slowing down.
And Dunsing is not necessarily a power guy, at least at this level. I'm sure growing up he was considered a power guy, but guys who throw hard, and yeah, in high school and in college in the minor leagues, hitters aren't used to seeing 92, 93, 94, but you get up here, you know, guys who throw 94 in the big leagues, I mean, they fall out of the sky.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's just a matter of being able to move the ball around. And and being able to change speeds and have a feel for the situation and knowing when to take a little bit off. And I think that's what makes guys like Dunsing special pitchers, is because they do have that feel.
Not very big by today's Major League starting pitcher standards. At 6 foot, he is built well, 205 pounds. And he is convinced that Alcides Escobar is going to take off here. Escobar has swiped 5 this year. The league has thrown him out twice. Not running, and Trainer takes high and away, 2-0. Trainer singled leading off the 3rd inning, and then with runners at 1st and 2nd and 1 out, Melky Cabrera grounded into what could have been a inning double play, but Kadire threw the throw to 1st away, and Trainer scored. And he continues to stay up and away against Trainer, 3-0.
Yeah, he's been very close on a couple pitches. Matt Trainer's been able to lay off, and right now Dunsing's not getting those pitches from Bill Welke, the home plate umpire. You really don't expect Escobar to run now at 3-0. Maybe not even 3-1, but he'll definitely go 3-2.
Well, he can move up on 4-0, and there are 2 on for Chris Getz. So Dunsing, who didn't walk anyone for 3 2/3 innings, has now walked Escobar and Trainer. Both were hitting under 229 when the game began.
I think that's what's frustrating. If I'm a pitching coach, that would frustrate me. If I'm a manager, that would frustrate me. You get down to the back of the order where the guys aren't swinging the bat well. You don't want to walk these guys. You want these guys to put the ball in play and give them a chance to get themselves out.
So 2 on for Chris Getz. He struck out his first time. And now Dunsing has missed with 9 in a row. He was 0-1 on Alcides Escobar, and then 4 straight balls, 4 in a row to Trainer, and now ball 1 to Getz, and that'll bring up pitching coach Rick Anderson, a 1-time Royal. Also spent quite a bit of time at AAA Omaha.
Well, you're right, Ryan. This is when you want to shut the bottom of the order down. When they get down toward the bottom, they're not hitting for average, not driving in runs. You want to get these guys out. From now on the other side of the coin, for the Royals, it's a good thing because now they're on base and give the front of the order an opportunity to hit with men on.
Chris Getz, his game is getting on base, but he's been pretty productive hitting with runners in scoring position. A number we normally keep tabs on for guys who hit 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Escobar is the go-ahead run at second base. 1-1. Gets added to that number last night. And a base hit in the 7th inning, driving in Brian Pena. That ball ate up Steve Holm. Escobar thought about going to 3rd and smacks his hands as he goes back to second base, and maybe that means he thought he should have gone to 3rd base.
Well, he's got to read it right out of Dunsing's hand. He's got to know this ball's going in the dirt, and he's got to go as soon as he sees this ball going down. He's got to be ready to go. But Holm did a good job. I mean, he was going to get that ball moved a lot more than he thought it was going to move. Then when he turned his glove over, the ball still missed his glove and hit his arm. He was fortunate that this ball bounced back out in front of the plate.
So 2 balls, 1 strike. 2-2. You know, I say Dunsing is not a power pitcher. I mean, he's not going to light up the radar gun, but still, that last pitch, 92 miles an hour. So he is far from a finesse left-hand pitcher.
Definitely. He hasn't been afraid to use his fastball inside the left-handed hitters either.
3 balls, 2 strikes. So at least a 3-ball count to the last 3 hitters. And you know, Dunsing wants something to happen right here because Mike Aviles waits on deck, and Aviles has 2 very good swings against him tonight. So Escobar at second, Trainer at first will be running. And gets it's a ground ball. Morneau comes way off the line, and Dunsing just gets to the bag. Billy Butler homers to lead off the inning. So as we go to the 5th inning at Kauffman Stadium, we are tied at 2. Billy Butler was hitless last night for the first game of the homestand, but now has his first home run since April the 5th tonight, so that should relieve some of the tension.
Well, he was smiling a lot in the dugout, so that means a lot. But I tell you what, he finally got a pitch he could handle and do something with, and he was being pitched very well. And you never saw Billy chasing so many bad pitches with 2 strikes, and even his first at bat tonight. But he made the adjustment in his second at bat and made Dunsing pay for it.
So we're all square. Sean O'Sullivan, who gave up 2 runs in the first inning. One of the runs was unearned. Royals committed 2 errors in the first. Minnesota's had just 3 base runners since. 1-1 on Denard Span. He opened the game with a walk. He scored when Justin Morneau grounded into a double play. Matt Tolbert will follow, and then Jason Kubel. 2 balls and 1 strike. Minnesota opened the game. They had the bases loaded with nobody out. 2 walks and a bunt single. And if not for Mike Aviles' throwing error with 2 outs, Sean O'Sullivan would have given up just 1 run. But because of the error, an unearned run and 2 in the first. The Royals got 1 in the third, an unearned run, a throwing error by second baseman Michael Kadire, and then Billy Butler's home run in the bottom of the 4th. Five walks as O'Sullivan begins the 5th inning. So if you add up his numbers against the Twins, this is his 3rd start. He has walked 16 in less than 15 innings.
Wow, man, just trying to be too fine. I mean, there's some 0-2 counts, the 3-2, the 5-2 walks. Just trying to be too fine on the corners, and he's just not sharp enough. And tonight, I think that's accounts for the walks and accounts for the deep counts.
Span has 2 stolen bases, only 2 stolen bases, and the Twins as a team only have 11.
Well, you think the Twins would take a few more pitches with his history of walks?
Getz thought about second base, so he turns all the way around and throws out Matt Tolbert, and Span is up to second base. So Matt Tolbert is 1 for 3. And that brings up Jason Kubel. Sean O'Sullivan in his career has been a much better reliever than he has been a starter. He has far more appearances in the starting rotation than he does coming out of the bullpen. But his career ERA as a starter is 5.72. However, this year it's the reverse. He has pitched better in the rotation. This is just his 3rd start than he did when he was pitching out of the bullpen. He has the added challenge of being a 5th starter in the month of April, and because of all the off days in the first month, many times the 5th starter is skipped. And Ned Yost made it very clear. I mean, that's just life as the number 5 starter in the first month of the season.
Well, he's got to work hard. I mean, he's got to work hard not only to stay sharp, but he's got to work hard from the mental aspect of the game. You know, holding runners, doing the slide step, making good pitches. To me, that would be the hardest thing, sitting around waiting for that start. And being skipped just adds more days that you have to sit back and wait to pitch.
Three and one on Kubel. A walk and a single in his first 2 plate appearances. So 3 out of 5 in the first 2 games. He was born in Belle Fourche, South Dakota, which is in the Royals region. Belle Fourche has a radio affiliate in the Royals radio network, but he grew up in California. Left field for Alex Gordon. Span will not tag. And there are 2 outs.
Sean has been pitching both sides of the plate all night, and this is right down the middle here. And Kubel just got under this pitch and sliced it to left field.
So Justin Morneau with a runner at second and 2 outs. He has grounded into a double play and flied to right. Royals have really pitched him well. This is only the 4th game this year with Minnesota. Justin Morneau is 2 out of 16, and they have struck him out 6 times.
Well, he's really opening up early on his swing, and he's vulnerable with the slider down underneath his swing, and also on the fastball away. He really opens his front side early.
2-0. He is without a home run, and the Twins have the 2nd fewest home runs in the American League. Look at where he was a year ago. He was hitting for average, for power. He was driving in runs, and he was named as an all-star starter. Unfortunately, the all-star game was shortly after he suffered the concussion in Toronto, sliding into the knee of the Blue Jays' John McDonald in Toronto. So not only did he skip the all-star game, he never played in the second half. Three balls and 1 strike.
Good changeup.
Here's a shocker, Frank. You know who has, if I'm reading the numbers right, Royals have more home runs than the Detroit Tigers this year. Figure they are going to have a lot of power this season. Minnesota actually tied for the fewest home runs in the league with the Oakland A's. Looking at some of the teams in the bottom in the first month of the season, figure the Tigers, their offense is going to be centered around power, but the bottom part of the American League, Minnesota, Oakland, Seattle, then Detroit.
Two big ballparks.
Morneau walks, and that's 6 given up by O'Sullivan in 4 2/3 innings.
Well, you can tell in that at bat to Morneau, he was really worried about Morneau as a hitter. Got him at 3-0, threw him a 3-0 changeup. So he definitely wasn't going to give in to him with the base open at first base.
And the walks are going to hurt O'Sullivan in a couple of ways. First of all, just giving Minnesota more free bases, but it continues to add to his pitch count. And increases the likelihood that the Royals are going to have to use the bullpen earlier tonight. Something we talked about last night. The bullpen was used quite a bit during the road trip. The Royals are in the dog days of April and May, if you will. We always talk about the dog days of August, but they're in a stretch right now where they play 45 games in 48 days. So very few breaks over a long period of time. So we'll have an off day the day after tomorrow.
So your starters are going to play a big part. They're going to have to extend themselves in games and take some pressure off the bullpen.
Kadire reached on an error in the first inning. That led to Minnesota's second run, and he grounded back to O'Sullivan in the third. Jammed him, and Francoeur is there in right field. So 2 more walks, 6 in the game, but Minnesota fails to score. City. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning and take a look at tonight's AT trivia question. Who are the only 3 Hall of Fame pitchers for 2 different World Series championship teams? There are only 3. Valencia knocks it down, picks it up, and just had enough time to get Mike Aviles, who is 1 for 3, and that's the second time Aviles tonight has lost a hit on a good defensive play.
Well, that was a nice place planting in. This ball's hit hard. Did a good job keeping it within reach and did a good job not panicking and setting his feet and making a nice throw to first.
I will give you a hint. Well, my hint was going to be that technically it's 2 Hall of Fame pitchers and 1 soon to be Hall of Fame pitcher.
So that would be Pittsburgh. and Minnesota.
Yep. He was part of We Are Family, the Pirates in 1979, and then the Minnesota Twins in 1987.
I think
Captain Hook.
I think I know one. He had a good one too.
Best curveball you ever saw?
Well, he is in Camilo Pascual. I think both those guys, and he was also a Minnesota Twins.
Right, yeah.
And both guys had outstanding curveball.
What do you think he's talking about right now?
Pitching.
Over the mound, off the Tolbert's glove, and nothing Kadire can do with it. So Cabrera has an infield single in his second hit tonight.
Well, Matt Tolbert, he's the only one that had a shot at this ball. Cabrera beats it down in the ground, and he has a good shot at it right here. Just didn't come up with it. He catches the ball, he's got a chance, but Kadire has no chance.
And now Alex Gordon, who is 0 for 2. He could be 2 for 2. Fly to the warning track in right center field in the first inning. Denard Span running up against the wall to get it. And then Alex grounded out in the third, but it took a diving play by Kadire to throw Alex out. He is just 2 out of 10 against his former college teammate Brian Dunsing. One ball, one strike. In our Sprint You Call It question tonight, Alex was a runaway for the fans' pick for the Royals Player of the Month.
Well, when he played both sides of the ball very well. You know, he not only got big hits, but his defense in the outfield has been just outstanding in the month of April.
This one gets through. Melky is on his way to third base, and Kubal's throw will be cut off. It wasn't his hardest hit ball tonight, but it's Alex's first hit.
Well placed ground ball here. Dunsing tries to come inside again with the fastball. Alex beats him to it. See, he pulls his hands in. Didn't hit it on the sweet spot, but got enough of it to get it in that hole over there that's open all the time for guys that can hit it. Malcolm Cabrera never even hesitated at second base on that ground, on that base hit to right field.
And now Billy Butler, who struck out in the second inning. That made him 0 for 10 against Dunsing, but then he homered leading off the fourth, and that tied the game at 2. Now he can put the Royals in front. Outside, ball 1.
Well, he's going to keep this in mind going into this at bat. He's going to try to get that pitch again, but I don't know if Dunston's going to let him have it in that same sweet spot.
It was his first home run since April 5th.
Well, time goes by fast. Wow.
This is game number 27 already. Tomorrow's May 1st.
That's unbelievable. I mean, you're so used to seeing Billy get hits. You used to see him hit doubles and an occasional home run, but almost a month without a home run. That's
a little high. 2 balls, 1 strike. Pitching Billy down at all.
No, he wants to. He's been chasing the ball up, and he's been popping that ball up, and they're just trying to stay with that sequence.
It's out over the plate, and Billy took a big swing and fouled it away.
Yeah, that was a very hittable pitch for Billy.
That was not a take it to right field with a nice line drive swing.
No, when you hit a home run, it's kind of hard to go back and say I'm gonna go for a single this next at bat. So when he gets to 2 strikes like right now, this is when you break it down and you try to go for a base hit. But those first 2 swings, those first 2 strikes, you want to try to do more than get a single.
And the pitch was up and away, and Billy strikes out.
And they stayed with their plan, kept the ball up.
Coming up on May 5th, it's the largest educational field trip in Kansas City, School Day at the K, hosted by Fox 4 Chief Meteorologist Mike Thompson. That's prior to the Royals-Orioles game. Students and teachers have a chance to learn about weather, have lunch, and watch the game. Gates will open at 8:30. Dunsing has 5 strikeouts. Now it'll take a base hit to get Melky Cabrera in from third. Jeff Francoeur has struck out and grounded out to second base. Little backdoor cut fastball, 0-1. RBIs, leads the Royals. That's the 7th most in the American League. Right to Kadire, who is cheating towards the middle. And the Royals had runners at first and third with 1 out and come up empty. We remind you that tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals. They may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefevre with Frank White, Joel Goldberg, producer Kevin Schenk, director Steve Kurtenbach, associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, and the producer of Royals Live is T.J. McGinnis. Jim Thome, Danny Valencia, Steve Holm here in the 6th inning. Sean O'Sullivan has walked 6, but only one of those walks has resulted in a run. 3-0. And now the Royals are busy in the bullpen. Nate Adcock, as O'Sullivan is right at 90 pitches. And Thome walks on 4, and that is 7 walks in 5+ innings.
You know, speaking of walk, I was to see Bob McClure go to the mound. I was talking to Ron Gartenhire before the game in the doubleheader against the Blue Jays the other day. I'm sorry, against the Tampa Bay Rays. They walked 16 batters in that game, in that doubleheader. So last night they only had Matt Capps left in the bullpen, so they were afraid to use him because if they tied the game, they had no other pitchers, because all of their 1-inning pitchers they threw 40 pitches an inning, 45 pitches an inning, so they couldn't use any of those guys. So we could have easily had Pavano pitching today, and if they'd have brought Capps in and they tied the game, then Dunsing would have had to pitch last night. Everybody else was used up.
Wow.
16 walks in a doubleheader.
And that's not like them at all. I mean, normally the Twins lead the league with fewest walks, and fewest walks by a wide margin. In fact, 8 of the last 9 years, they have either had the fewest walks or the second fewest walks in the league.
And I asked him if he thought the weather had something to do with it. He says maybe a small amount, but everybody else was throwing strikes. So you have to expect your guys to go out there and throw strikes too.
Now he's missed with 5 in a row. Danny Valencia was O'Sullivan's 4th walk in the 4th, and he's popped out to second base.
You know, walks are one of those things you can only get away with so long.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Just go in the old Metrodome, and that every time you walk a guy, there's this ghost that goes across the board says walks will haunt, and sooner or later they do.
Two and one. Two walks in the first, 1 scored, 1 in the second, 1 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, and now 1 here in the 6th. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Valencia.
Well, it looks like Sean O'Sullivan had better command of his breaking ball today than his fastball. He's trying to throw his fastballs on each corner, and it's missing, but his breaking balls have been able to get over the plate.
Up the line with a lot of spin. So the Royals didn't jump on it right away, thinking it might spin back into fair territory. And then once Valencia gets up the line, the Royals grab it.
And Matt Trainer, being the veteran catcher that he is, recognized that the fastball wasn't working, so he went to back-to-back breaking balls and got the count back even at 2-2.
7 walks is now a new career high for Sean O'Sullivan, and his previous career high was last September the 28th, against the Minnesota Twins. So if you add it up, that is 18 walks for him against Minnesota in less than 16 innings. Valencia almost hits it through Mike Aviles, but he makes the catch for the first out. Man, you can't hit it harder than that.
Mike didn't have much time to think about this one. Luckily he didn't have to jump for it. It's off his right shoulder, and he's ready to make this throw back across the first base. I mean, the foot's down, ball's there. Wow. That's just straight reaction time right there.
Well, Sullivan against the Twins so far has turned big walks and few runs into an art form. In the game that I talked about back on September the 28th, in the 6 walks, only 1 of those turned into a run. And tonight, 7 walks and only 1 walk has eventually come around to score, and that was back in the first inning. Steve Holm is down on 3 pitches, so leadoff walk, but now 2 away and a slow runner at first.
Well, here he goes back to the breaking ball again on the outside corner. You know, sometimes when a pitcher's all over the place like Sean has been for the most part of this game, hitters can't really sit over there and say, well, this is what he's doing, because he's working both sides of the plate with his fastball, and he is using his changeup and his breaking ball. So it can be just as confusing for them as it is for Sean on the mound.
Low to Rene Tosoni. He's lined to left, grounded out to second base. Popped up, and Trainer runs out of room. Look out, little guy. There's a young Royals fan down there. He had the right idea. He didn't have his glove, so he took his hat off, and he was going to try and catch it with his hat. But he had his He had his eye on the hat and not on the ball.
Whew. All I can say is when that ball hit the concrete, it sounded really loud.
Good curveball, makes it 1 ball, 2 strikes. Struck him out. 7 walks, 3 strikeouts, 1 earned run. But a tie game to the bottom of the 6th.
And this is our Sonic Slam inning, Ryan, and we go with Randy Smith from Raymore, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run this inning, Randy will win $400. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Randy will win $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
That ball didn't quite carry out of the ballpark. Betemit grounds out to second base, 1 for 3. Alcides Escobar has flied to center and he has walked. The Royals have a home run tonight. Billy Butler in the 4th inning, his 3rd of the year. That tied the game at 2. Twins with 2 in the 1st, Royals with 1 in the 3rd and 1 in the 4th. 1 strike on Escobar. Here's Joe Goldberg.
Well, I had a chance to talk to Alcides today, guys, because everybody forgets amidst all the Dyson craziness, Alcides Escobar had the game-winning RBI yesterday on a sac fly to shortstop, and he said first off when the ball left his bat, he figured he had that game-winning RBI because he thought the ball was going to fall in. Then he saw the catch and he thought, okay. Then he saw Dyson going and he said, oh my gosh, I've never seen that before. He said, it's a game-winning RBI, just the way I drew it up, guys.
He almost won the game with a sacrificed bunt because Ned Yost confirmed what we were discussing last night, that he had tried the safety squeeze with Escobar, didn't quite get the bunt down. And I'm with Escobar. Of course, he's a lot closer to the play than we are, but when he first made contact, I was thinking Loop single to left field, and then KCA made what I thought was a good play, and then Dyson speed. But when I was driving home last night, I started to process that play, and I thought, wait a minute, that's a heads-up play for Dyson to even be ready to tag up on a little pop-up to very shallow left field.
Well, I talked to him today about that, and I tell you, I said another guy that made that play before, and he said, who? I said, me. He got excited about that. I said, no, just kidding. But I asked him if he did it on his own. He said that was all on his own. He just figured that it was a good time to try it, and the guy would have to do so many things right in order to get him out of the play.
Coming up a week from tonight, the Oakland A's will be in town, and the Royals will salute the Kansas City A's. There will be appearances by Kansas City A's alumni, including Tommy Lasorda, the Hall of Fame manager, And a select group of alumni will be signing autographs following the pregame ceremony. The first 20,000 fans will receive this retro KC cap presented by Sprint. Trainer to third, and a backhand stab by Valencia. And Dunsing has matched Sean O'Sullivan, allowing 2 runs in 6 innings. Counterparts in St. Louis who are scouting the Royals for interleague play. If they were in town, they could go to Hy-Vee and Independence on May the 6th and visit with Frank White. That'll be his next meet and greet. Pepsi Max is proud to be the official drink of the Royals, and the Fox Sports Kansas City broadcast booth. Look for these special edition Frank White Pepsi Max cans at your neighborhood Hy-Vee. So May the 6th in Independence, 11:30 to 12:30. That's Nolan Road and 40 Highway. And then May the 7th, the Hy-Vee in Shawnee from 11 to 12.
Good sound.
You like that?
I love
Good
that.
sound effects.
Me and Snoop.
I'm going to have a little can of Frank myself.
That's good stuff. You heard the Snoop Dogg commercial, haven't you?
I have not. Here's the Chevy call to the bullpen. So Nate Adcock takes over for Sean O'Sullivan in the 7th.
Tell you how it goes. It says up to my knees with 0 calories. Pepsi to the max. Let's drink all of these. Then the Coke guy goes, Snoop.
Well, we never said he won any Grammys. It was Gold Gloves. 1 pitch from Nate Adcock, and Denard Span is out 0 for 2 with a couple of walks. Last time that Nate Adcock pitched was in Cleveland, coming out of the bullpen. 22 home runs. It was just his 4th major league appearance, and pitched very well against a very good offensive team.
You know, the thing that impressed me about Nate is the life he has on his pitches. I mean, the ball really drops off the table, and his slider's really sharp and goes down. So it's very live arm.
Sean O'Sullivan able to get around 7 walks. That's because he only gave up 2 hits. 2 runs, and 1 was unearned. The Twins have stranded 7 in 6 innings. It is 0-2 on Matt Tolbert, as third base umpire Marty Foster said that Tolbert went too far. He reached with a bunt single in the 1st inning and scored Minnesota's 2nd run. Right to Billy Butler. Remember, you can take your group out to Kauffman Stadium, and if you do so, you will save big. Groups of 20 or more get a significant discount compared to single game ticket prices. And for those group tickets, call 816-504-4040 or visit royals.com/group. And the fans say group. Or maybe they're saying Kubel.
Sounds more like it.
Kubel is walked, singled, flied out. 2 balls and no strikes. Another thing about Nate Adcock's last appearance in Cleveland, it was the first time he had not pitched in front of a sellout. Royals have a nice crowd here tonight. It is not a sellout. 31,000 here last night. 31,407 to be exact. But here's a guy who goes from A ball to the big leagues this year, and in his first 3 appearances pitched in front of over 131,000 fans.
And Ryan, we talked to him on the pregame show after that game in Cleveland. There were only 9,700 fans there that night, but his Bradenton team from the year before had played in front of 700 fans the night before. So he still pitched in front of 9,000 more. He said, trust me, 9,700 still looks like a lot of people to me.
I'll bet. Yeah, the Florida State League is a tough draw because that's right in the summer months and one of the hottest states in the summer.
Well, you're right. I was down there for one of those terms, but I tell you what, it is hot and people don't come, and the bus trips along.
Deep right field, that'll sail over Frank Coor's head. And the second hit for Jason Kubel. So it's only Minnesota's 3rd hit tonight and their first extra base hit. It is their 10th base runner. All right, we'll answer tonight's AT&T trivia question, and as you read the question, Frank has figured out the 3 answers. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
And they are?
Well, you got Bert Blyleven right off the top, and I got Steve Carlton and Catfish Hunter. That'd be a good top 3.
It's been a while since someone has worn a horse head to Kauffman Stadium. It's been at least 17 years, hasn't it?
Is that something symbolic with the Twins?
I don't know.
2 horse heads.
I think of horse heads, and I think about a famous scene from a famous movie. Making an offer he can't refuse, if you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
My favorite part about that scene is when it's over and that shot of Marlon Brando just kind of fades to him and he just shrugs his shoulders like, well, that's the way it goes.
So those are the rules. I mean, look at the action on his pitches, right? I mean, this ball just drops a ton. I mean, I don't think I've seen that kind of life on any of the Royals pitches this year. It's what I'm seeing on Nate Adcock.
I mean, the more he pitches, the more you can see why the Royals jumped all over him in the Rule 5. Now, we don't know how he's going to pitch through the course of the season, but as you said, the movement of the pitches, you can see why the Royals were excited to get him. Hit hard. Billy hangs it in the air for Adcock. Stretch time at Kauffman Stadium. We are tied at 2. City tonight, and we are tied at 2 going to the bottom of the 7th inning because of tonight's Miller Lite Taste Greatness moment.
That's Billy Butler getting a pitch to his liking, and he's driving this ball deep in the left center field. This is a no-doubter from Miller.
Seventh inning for Brian Dunsing, and only 87 pitches. You'll get Chris Getz, Mike Aviles, and Melky Cabrera. And we were talking earlier about Brian Dunsing and what impresses Bert Blyleven, their longtime broadcaster and going into the Hall of Fame this summer. What impressed him about Dunsing was his ability to change speeds. And another thing that he pointed out is that Dunsing, even though he's a young pitcher, young as far as major league experience, he is 28 years old, that he really gives off the vibe that he wants to pitch deep into games. A dive by Tosoni, more of a fall by Tosoni. Getz will get to third at least. That is his second triple of the year, and a runner at third with nobody out.
Now, this is a huge break for the Royals right here. Chris Getz hits a line drive that you like to see your fielder come in, Ryan, and just maybe take this on one hop in a close ball game late and not try to make the great play, because in this ballpark, once you get by you with Chris Getz speed, he's going to end up on third base. So Tosoni would have been better served to try to take this ball on one hop.
And now Mike Aviles. 1 for 3, but 3 good swings against Dunsing. Dunsing has gone at least 7 innings in 3 of his first 4 starts. Anyway, just to finish the thought, Bert Blyleven likes the concept of quality starts about as much as Paul Splittorff does.
And me.
So a guy like Dunsing, who really wants to be in there late in the game, he doesn't have that quality start mindset that is much appreciated by guys of Bert Blyleven's era. Left field, plenty deep enough. Tosoni is there to make the catch, and Mike Aviles with a sacrifice fly puts the Royals in front 3-2.
This is what you want to do in this situation with a runner on third. You want to chase the borderline pitch up because you want to try to get the ball to the outfield and try to get that run home with a sac fly. And that's what Mike Aviles was able to do right here.
So the Royals lead for the first time tonight. They were down 2-0 at the end of a half inning. Kubel waits for it in right field, and there are 2 down. Melky is 2 for 4 tonight. Melky Cabrera and Alex Gordon subject tonight's You Call It question. Royals Player of the Month in the fans' minds, Alex Gordon 71%, followed by Jeff Francoeur 21%. So we appreciate you sending in your texts tonight. And here's Alex with 2 outs and nobody on. 1 for 3 against his former Nebraska teammate. Alex had an awful time early on against Dunsing. At one point he was 0 for 6 with 5 strikeouts. And now he is 3 out of 11. He has hit the ball well 3 times tonight. Flied out to deep right center field in the first, lost a base hit on a diving play by Kadire in the third, and then singled in the 5th. And it appears we'll see Aaron Crow when the Twins come up in the top of the 8th. One and 2. That almost pinned the catcher Holm up against the screen.
especially when that pitch follows 2 curveballs down and away. That's changing the eye level of the hitter, and most times they'll go back again with something down and away. Just change the eye level, get them thinking up, and go back down again.
Got him with a fastball, so Dunsing pitches 7 innings again. However, the inning begins with a Chris Getz triple, and after a sacrifice fly, he puts the Royals in front. Ninth, but he led off the 7th and tripled and scored the go-ahead run. Now Pinera takes us around the American League. Tampa Bay beats the Angels in extra innings. Tampa Bay all of a sudden is 3 games above 500. They're chasing the Yankees. They beat Toronto, so New York still has a 1.5 game lead. Texas beats Oakland. Rangers and Angels were tied for first place, still tied. Detroit and Cleveland are tied in the 11th. Cleveland won last night on a walk-off grand slam. They've won 11 straight at home. Baltimore is in front of Chicago, and Seattle leads Boston. Boston finds itself back in last place again in the East. Chevy called to the bullpen, and now here's Aaron Crow, the Royals rookie, who hasn't allowed a run yet this year, and he gets the 8th inning, hoping to hand the ball off to Joakim Soria with a lead in the 9th. It'll be Michael Kadire, Jim Thome, and Danny Valencia. Ned Yost showing some confidence in a couple of rookies tonight. Aviles plays a 2-hopper, and Billy Butler with a stretch kept his foot on the bag, and Kadire is out number 1. Kadire thinks Billy came off the bag. So 13 consecutive scoreless innings pitched, and that ties the Royals record, first set by Bob McClure. That is to start a career with the Royals. And Bob McClure found out that he had the record as a couple of rookies were off to a good start. He was unaware of the fact that he had that record.
So I'm not alone in remembering things way back in our careers. Well, Aaron Crow's done a great job of establishing himself to be in this position he is tonight. He's always gone out, attacked the strike zone, not being afraid to throw the ball over the plate, and we see he's following that trend tonight.
That's a 3-pitch strikeout against Jim Thome.
I mean, look at the run on that fastball. Started in, came back to the middle of the plate. Excellent pitch. Pitch number 2 on the corner. Pitch number 3 on the inside corner.
And now way outside to Danny Valencia. If Aaron Crow And presumably Joakim Soria can hold the Twins. Nate Adcock with a chance to win his first big league game. Sean O'Sullivan will end up with a no decision, giving up 2 runs, 2 hits over 6 innings, and was able to get around 7 walks, but pitched very well with men on base. And the Royals just took the lead in the bottom of the 7th after Nate Adcock pitched the top of the 7th. So he's the pitcher of record. And now Vilas backhands, turns all the way around, and throws out Valencia. Through the bottom of the 8th, Royals lead by 1.
In 3-2, Royals lead the Twins. Middle of the 8th, Mike Avila's just turning a great defensive play. And we'll be talking about that on Boulevard Royals Live immediately following the game. We will talk about Sean O'Sullivan's night. 7 walks, but he survives it. How about Nate Adcock out of the bullpen, and Billy Butler, first hit in his career against Brian Dunsing is a big one. That reaction and Paul Splittoff analysis coming up on Boulevard Royals Live.
All right, thank you, Joel. And it will be Joe Nathan coming on for the bottom of the 8th inning. Excellent career numbers against the Royals. 35 saves. He has never lost to the Royals. An ERA under 1. Now he does have 4 blown saves against the Royals, but the way things have worked out, Minnesota won all of those games.
Yeah, I can recall one here last year where the Royals came back and went in the extra innings, and the Royals came back and won. So that's the beauty of having a closer on the opposition blow a save, is you come back and win the game.
Nathan at the moment is not Minnesota's closer. Matt Capps is. Joe Nathan missed all of last year. He had Tommy John surgery. The injury was discovered in spring training, so he didn't throw 1 pitch during the regular season. Minnesota went with John Roush for most of the year, and then right around the trading deadline went and got Capps from the Washington Nationals. And the plan was to go with Nathan if he was healthy when the regular season began, and that's exactly what the Twins did with 247 career saves. But a couple weeks into the season, he wasn't feeling as effective as he is accustomed to, and so right now Capps is back as Minnesota's closer. 2 balls and 1 strike on Billy. 1 for 3. He tied the game with a home run in the 4th inning. Royals took the lead in the 7th on Mike Avila's sacrifice fly. Left center field, and that will roll deep. Well, Billy Butler with a home run and now a double. And that is the Royals' 3rd extra base hit tonight, and their 9th hit overall.
You can tell one thing about Joe Nathan right now, Ryan, is that his velocity is really not back up to par where it was. But this fastball was out over the plate, ran right into Billy's bat down the middle of the plate, and he drove it to left center field. So Billy likes the ball mid-thigh. He got a good pitch, and he drove it. You see Span gets the ball back to the infield, and we have Gerard Dyson pitch running for Billy at second base.
Well, we have some Hot Watch winners in a flash. The Royals get their third extra base hit, and Gerard Dyson comes into the game. And speaking of flash, if the Twins aren't careful, Gerard might sneak home on them.
They'll definitely sneak the third.
Jeff Francoeur 0 for 3, 2 ground outs to second and a strikeout. Lost his 17-game hitting streak last night. Trying to get something over to the right side and get Dyson over to third. One ball, 2 strikes. So 3 out of 6 times he's been in a spot like this, he has come around to score as a pinch runner. And with that speed, you would imagine that most of the time he will advance when he's on base.
Right. I mean, he'll steal third, and it wouldn't be advised right now.
Popped up. And Morneau quickly throws to third base. The Twins learned their lesson last night. I mean, Morneau didn't take a look, set his feet, and throw to third. I mean, he was already in the throwing motion before he caught the pop-up.
I tell you, Valencia was probably concerned because he had no backup over there at third base. And Morneau gets this ball and just, like you say, without hesitation, but he knows his ball's going to be in the dirt, and Valencia had nobody backing him up because that really could have been exciting for the Royals had that ball gotten by.
And now the Twins will walk Wilson Betemit and set up a righty-righty matchup with Nathan and Alcides Escobar. Betemit 1 for 3 tonight with a single in the second inning. So 2 on for Escobar. Hey fans, coming up next weekend, Friday and Saturday, the Royals and the Baseball Tomorrow Fund will team up to collect new and gently used baseball equipment for local youth organizations in the area. In addition to receiving the donated equipment, one lucky organization will receive a $5,000 grant from the Baseball Tomorrow Fund. For more information, visit Royals.com/community. And next weekend on Friday and Saturday, that's the Royals and the Oakland A's. Rick Anderson is out to talk to Joe Nathan and the infield about what they want to do with Escobar and probably how they're going to handle Gerard Dyson. Dyson would love to get to third base with 1 out and set up another pop-up to shortstop sacrifice fly.
Well, this is
look who's coming up.
This is definitely what that conversation's all about. Is how you're going to control the running game at second base. And with 1 out, he's definitely going to be looking to take third base.
You know, they might be thinking about that if they go to throw down to second base to get the second out.
Well, that's what's important between Wilson Betemit and Dyson, that Wilson know exactly when he's going to go so he can get, because he's got a bigger lead off first. He just needs to know if he's going to go and won't give a false start and then get him hung out. So if he knows he's going, then he's going to definitely get a good jump at first base.
Popped up Infield fly rule, and there are 2 down. So this time Escobar does not get Dyson in. Escobar is 0 for 3. If I remember the details correctly, Steve Stewart of the Royals radio network, like Joel, is down in the field after the games and getting guests on the radio side for a player of the game. And I think we were in Detroit last year, and Gerard had a good game at the plate, running the bases and on defense. And as Steve was praising him for his legs, Gerard said, well, that's what speed do. Well, his teammates jumped all over that when they heard it. And so anytime you hear about Dyson doing something on the field with his legs, inevitably somebody will say that's what speed do. And speed prevents even a throw by the catcher Steve Holm. So Dyson has his 7th stolen base.
Well, that's what I was saying. If the runner on first knows you're going to go, then that's really good. I mean, when you go now, you can score on a pass ball wild pitch, but you also have that force out at second base. So if Wilson Betterman knows he's going to run, now he can go at the same time. Now you got second and third.
Matt Trainer 1 for 2 with a single and a walk. 2 balls and no strikes.
You know, rather to go back to Escobar hitting the first pitch after 1 out and popping up, I think as Royals hitters see Dyson in this situation more and more, I think they'll start to maybe be a little more patient and give him an opportunity to steal before they swing it at the first pitch.
Three and one.
Now, if you think about the possibility of stealing home here, 3-1 count, Wilson Betterman could run here to steal second base with Dyson on third. Could pose an interesting dilemma for the Twins.
Betterman runs, and it's fouled away. So we won't know what they would have done, because now it's 3-2 with 2 outs, and Betterman is running anyway.
Well, you're right, and I doubt that would have been a hit and run with 2 outs, but that's when Matt Trainer's got to be a little more patient and let this play out. So if everybody knows what's going on, he can take that pitch, and now if they throw through, now Dyson's got a chance to steal home.
So Betterman runs, and Trainer fouls it back over our heads. Well, here we go again. Royals and Twins, a close game late. The Royals have played very well this year in one-run games. They're 7-3 in one-run games. Last night was a one-run game. The Royals took the lead tonight in the 7th inning. They took the lead in the 8th inning last night, and that was the 5th win this season after being down going into the 8th. It hit him, and they're loaded up for Chris Getz. Here's tonight's Chevy Plays of the Game with Chris Getz coming up.
A nice line drive at left field. Thomas came in and Sony tried to come in and make that diving catch, but the ball got by, and Chris ended up with a triple and eventually scored.
If he comes through in this inning, he'll have to do it against a left-hand pitcher, Jose Majares. Bases loaded, 2 down. Royals by 1 in the 8th. And it will be Chris Getz against Jose Majares. So Joe Nathan still has a ways to go. I don't ever remember the Twins getting into a tight spot in the late innings and Joe Nathan comes out of the game. Normally that's when Joe Nathan comes into the game.
Well, that's true. He came in with almost a 7 ERA, and you look at that, eight innings pitched, 8 hits, 8 runs, 8 earned runs. So that was a good indication that location-wise and velocity-wise, he's probably not back to where he feels comfortable.
The inning began with a Billy Butler double. Dyson running for him. Wilson Betemit intentionally walked. Matt Trainer hit by a pitch. 1-1 to Chris Getz. 1 for 3 with a triple leading off the 7th inning. That was against lefty Brian Dunsing on a ball that was misplayed and left by Rene Tosoni. He tried to dive to make a catch and he wasn't even close. So a single turned into a triple. And Mike Aviles scored him on a sacrifice fly. Inside corner, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Getz is 0 for 2 with a strikeout in the past against Majares. Still 1-2. Minnesota scored 2 in the top of the 1st inning. They have not scored since. The Royals with 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th to tie it, 1 in the 7th to go ahead, and now looking to add on in the 8th. Getz reaches out, makes contact, going to be a tough play. No play, and it's 4-2. That, kids, is why you always try and avoid the strikeout.
Well, you just got to try to put it in play. It was a good pitch down and away, and he pulled it, bounced it up towards second base. Not a lot of speed on it, but he had enough speed to get to first base. You can see he got that top spin on it, gets by Majares about a mound, and just between him and the second baseman, Kadire at that point, and with his speed, it was no play.
You can read Ron Gardenhire's lips. Nothing you can do. So another pitching change, and it will be Jim Hoey And Mike Aviles with an infield single and an RBI against Jose Majares. So James Hoey, originally out of the Orioles organization, will take over and face Mike Aviles with the bases loaded. And Mike Aviles is 1 for 3 tonight with an RBI, but he's had good swings all night.
Well, you're right. There's a drive there that Denard Span, very first inning, made a good play on it. Base hit up the middle, hard hit. That was a tough ball to the backhand side that Valencia made a nice play on. Then he comes up with a deep sacrifice fly to get Chris Getz home.
First time Aviles has faced Hoey. Betemit at third, Trainer at second, Getz at first. Down and in, ball 1. Joel Goldberg has done some exhaustive research, and we've been telling you how well Minnesota has played here in Kansas City. And prior to this series, the Royals had won 1 of the last 10 series at home against the Twins. So they've been just as comfortable here as they have been in Minnesota. Last night the Royals won game 1, and prior to that Minnesota had won game 1 in a series against the Royals 10 consecutive times. A win tonight, the Royals clinch the series and go for a sweep tomorrow. 3 balls and no strikes. Joe Nathan started the inning, hit a batter, walked a batter. It was intentional, gave up a walk. Jose Majares then gave up the infield single to Chris Getz. And now Hoey with a 3-0 pitch. Another walk, and the Royals lead by 3. Ron Gardenhire just got done telling Jose Majares there's nothing you can do, as Chris Getz did a good job of making contact with 2 strikes, and with a well-placed ground ball reached with an infield single. I don't think he feels the same way about the 4-pitch walk.
No, that would really bother him at this point, because the Royals are really doing a great job of adding on late and making this last inning a more comfortable inning for themselves.
Now Hoey has missed with 5 in a row, and Danny Valencia is going to come in and try and offer him some words of encouragement. The Royals have had great late inning spirit all season, and now they've scored 3 of their 5 runs tonight in the 7th inning or later. Joakim Soria is just waiting to get into the game. The strike makes it 1-1. The Royals are 1 run away from making it a non-save situation for Soria.
Yeah, base hit right now really open it up for the Royals.
Melky Cabrera is the only Royal on the 25-man roster that has ever faced James Hoey, and that's when Melky was with the Yankees and Hoey is with the Orioles. And Melky is 0 for 3. Tonight, 2 singles and 2 for 4. Two and 2. 22,099 here tonight. 2 beautiful evenings in Kansas City.
But Ron Gardenhire would love to see a pitch made here, because they go to 3-2 and all those runners are running. He don't want to see that.
Grounded to short. Tolbert throwing on the run, and it gets away from Morneau. 2 runs will score, and it's 7-2. And with that, Joakim Soria is congratulated for a job well done warming up out in the left field bullpen.
That's all they can do right there. Rick Anderson, he looks perplexed too about what's seen right here. Tolbert seemingly makes a nice throw here to Marneau at first base. It just goes right off the thumb of his glove. You can see Chris Getz and Matt Trainer both come across.
So a 5-run lead, and now Alex Gordon with 2 on, 2 out. That was the second error of the game for the Twins. And all Rick Anderson and the Twins can do is just stare off into the distance and continue to wonder what has gone wrong.
Well, you can't do anything about walks, and you can't do anything about errors. I mean, the players themselves are the ones going to have to turn that around.
And now the ball gets away from home, so both runners move up. So to sum it up for you, 2 walks, a hit batter, an error, and a wild pitch in this inning. All of a sudden Aaron Crow has to change his mindset in the dugout. He'll be going back out for the top of the 9th inning. He'll have a big lead to work with. At a plate, 2 balls and 1 strike on Alex. Billy Butler started all this with a double, and then Dyson ran for him. And now Dyson waits on deck. Three and 1. Minnesota already with the worst record in the American League. At 9-16, they are the only American League team that has not won 10 games yet.
Well, Alex should get a pretty good pitch to hit here.
And he does. See you later. Soria, and they hang a 7 on the scoreboard in the 8th inning.
Well, they can pretty much hand this one off to anyone right this game is right now. The Twins open the door for the Royals, and they've not only walked through it, they've ran through it.
1 strike on Gerard Dyson. Seven runs, 5 unearned.
Well,
there's that good pitch you were talking about.
Yeah, sooner or later you got to throw the ball over the plate. You can't pitch to the corners, and Alex on the 3-1 count had to be looking for something he could really drive, and he got a good pitch to hit.
This will not be an easy play. And by the time Kadire could even think about throwing to first base, Dyson was across the bag.
That's what speed do.
I tell you, playing second base and he hits the ball, you cannot give ground to try to. You got to go right across and try to cut it off and make that play. Kadire gave way too much ground on that ground ball.
A strike to Jeff Francoeur, who doesn't want to be that guy, although he's a veteran. He's happy to see 7 runs on the scoreboard, but a chance to make the first and last out of the inning. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jeremy Jeffress begins to throw because now it's become a long inning and a long layoff for Aaron Crow. So it'll be Jeffress in the top of the 9th inning. He will have at least 8 runs to work with. Up the left field line, that will drop. Now we'll see what speed can do. Royals lead by 9.
Does a good job going down and getting this ball, but you watch Dyson how he runs the bases here.
An 8-run bottom of the 8th inning. They had just ruled that a double and an RBI for Frank Coeur. The question was that going to be an error on Tassoni out in left field? He did not field the base hit cleanly off the bat of Frank Coeur. So Alex Gordon had briefly tied Jeff Francoeur for the team lead in RBIs at 19, and now Francoeur has 20.
Well, you're right. He sort of ran by it. He thought he had it, but that was enough. I don't know if that would have been enough to stop Dyson anyway, because he was going to the line, and Dyson had a full head of steam with 2 outs. You know, that 4-pitch walk got things going for the Royals, and it's almost like a feeding frenzy. They all got on the bandwagon, and everybody just all of a sudden found new life.
The bases were loaded with 2 outs. And no runs had scored. And the infield single by Chris Getz, the 4-pitch walk, an error at first base. Justin Morneau couldn't handle a throw from Matt Tolbert. A 3-run home run, an infield single, and an RBI double. Three balls and 2 strikes on Betemit. Center field, now Span has to come up, and the inning finally comes to an end. The Royals score 8, take a 9-run lead to the 9th inning. The biggest hit, Alex Gordon's 3-run home run. Game in center field. He pinch ran for Billy Butler at the beginning of that 8-run bottom of the 8th. Melky Cabrera was in center field. He goes to left, Alex Gordon was in left field. He goes to first. And it will be Jeremy Jeffress in the 9th inning with the Royals leading 11-2. It'll be Steve Holm, Rene Tosoni, and Denard Span in the 9th. Royals are 3 outs away from clinching the series and 3 outs away from handing Nate Adcock his first major league win. Luke Hughes is going to bat for Steve Holm. No balls, 2 strikes. Sean O'Sullivan, 6 innings, 2 runs on only 2 hits, and one of those runs was unearned. He walked 7. Nate Adcock a scoreless inning, Aaron Crow a scoreless inning, and now Jeremy Jeffress in the 9th. Joel is on a roll tonight. Here's more exhaustive research. The last time the Royals had a starting pitcher walk 7 and give up, I believe, 2 runs or less, and the Royals end up winning the game, was 2000. Miguel Batista was pitching for the Royals in that game. All kinds of interesting little tidbits tonight. All right, Joel, how did I get it wrong?
No, not too bad. 7 or more walks in the game and 1 earned run or less.
Oh, 1 earned run or less.
It was a 4-3 win in May of 2000. Miguel Batista actually did get the decision and get the win. But that's the last time the Royals won a game like that.
Good start for Jeffress as he strikes out Hughes. How do you find stuff like that, Joel?
Just, counting every single box score that has ever existed since then. I believe the last time that the situation happened with that many walks by a starter and that few earned runs and the Royals lost the game was Zach Greinke in 08.
Okay.
Just a little search engine type of deal,
I guess so.
Just trying to be productive. And Kevin Shank would like to know when the last time a pinch runner scored twice in 1 inning. I don't know, because he wasn't a pinch runner the second time, although he came in it. But we can say that Gerard Dyson has scored 3 times in the last 2 8th innings with 1 plate appearance. That's what speed do.
Very nice, Joel. Have you thought about who you're going to have at the end of the game? Joel,
did he turn us off?
Maybe he's.
I'm back. We got some chaos going on down here. We're trying to prepare for a show.
Oh, okay.
Who do we want on tonight? Who do you guys want? I was thinking Billy Butler, and if Nate Adcock is still around, maybe Nate Adcock.
2 down in the 9th inning.
Does that work?
Yeah. I'd like to hear what Nate Adcock has to say.
If he's still around, and I don't know if he's still here or not. The pitchers oftentimes go in and ice, but if he is around for his first major league win, we'll get him.
So 2 down, and now Denard Span against Jeremy Jeffress. So coming home was exactly what the Royals needed, and they have put that 6-game losing streak behind them and then some. The Royals are going to improve to 11-5 here at Kauffman Stadium and give the Minnesota Twins their 5th consecutive loss.
that's some kind of depth on that curveball. I'd say try that maybe a little bit too hard. Just take a little off of it, go for a little bit more control of it. I think he'd still be just as effective. But like you say, Ryan, it looks like a totally different Royals team than we saw on the road trip. You know, trainer probably said, just let this one go over my shoulder. I don't want to get beat up by this one, but I mean, just like what we saw in the last homestand before they started the last road trip, late inning rallies, guys out of the bullpen getting the job done, starters going deep in the game.
On the ground it gets, and the Royals have won the first 2 games of the series. Royals come from behind, and what might be lost in all of this, especially after the exciting 8-run 8th inning, look at the line score there. Minnesota with 2 runs on 3 hits. And remember, they scored those 2 runs in the top of the first inning and didn't score again. So Sean O'Sullivan, Nate Adcock, Aaron Crow, Jeremy Jeffress tightened things up after that first inning. The Royals defense tightened up, and you win by 9, and it's a come from behind victory. 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 7th, and 8 in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Well, Ryan, I tell you that the Twins are going to remember those walks and how they couldn't take advantage of them. And, you know, Sean O'Sullivan pitched around them very well. But I think that's that late inning runs that the Royals scored is what's standing out in the Twins' mind. Is getting to that bullpen, and all of a sudden the floodgates open up. And I don't think their pitching is even back to where it was since that last homestand.
Royals win at 11-2. Down to the field, and here's Joel.
All right, Ryan, thank you very much. Nate Adcock gets his first win, and we hope to hear from him in a little while. He's down in the clubhouse, but Billy Butler getting some of that offense going. And first off, we were talking before the game, Brian Dunston can be real tough on you, same as all those Minnesota pitchers. How are you able to finally get to him tonight?
Well, you know, he threw great for early in the game, and we just kept battling, and when we got some runs, and you know, we just battled all day long.
It was your typical Royals-Twins game early on, very close, and then you're able to make contact and hit that home run. Have you felt like things have been coming around a little bit more the last few nights? It looked like in Cleveland you were starting to hit the ball hard.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to go up there and hit the ball hard. I've been going through a little rough patch, but that's the way baseball is. You go in and out of hot streaks and get cold, but just trying to put the barrel on it and help this team win.
I know that as a team, as a whole, you've been trying to get everybody going a little bit, and to finally have that offense late in this game against a Twins team that is always so tough, how infectious can that be?
Well, I mean, we haven't had too many easy wins. We've made it interesting every time. So having an easy one right like that late in the game, it's good for us, and we'll move on tomorrow.
Finally, to be able to play in warm weather the last couple of nights in front of big crowds, I'm sure you enjoy that.
Yeah, the fans have been great. I mean, I'm glad everybody's coming out, and we're going to hope we keep winning, and we're playing well at home.
All right, Billy, thanks.
Thank you. All
right, that is Billy Butler going deep with the home run here, as he had a little bit of that early offense, and then the floodgates opened. Ryan and Frank, let's go back upstairs to you.
All right, thank you, Joel. Big night, 11 runs, 13 hits. This home run by Billy in the 4th inning actually tied the game at 2. Royals took the lead in the 7th. Then they scored 8 in the 8th, all coming with 2 outs. And Alex Gordon hit a 3-run home run in that inning. We'll be right back.